Speak the truth. Oh my Lord, that's a news of the world thematic sweater right there. I
I
love
mean,
that.
it felt like the most apropos day to wear my favorite sweater.
There you go.
Sorry, I just need to give myself a minute of all the surreal things that have happened this past year. Talking to you in my living room
Uh,
ranks right up
you,
there.
you have a beautiful tree in the back. You're, oh my Lord.
We got to get this season going for the kids. Okay, so I was reading one article where the person referred to Captain Kidd as Anderson Cooper circa 1870. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I am curious. Did you use a news anchor, living or past, to help inspire Captain Kidd?
I sort of thought of, and this is going to age me, Kim, so forgive me, but I was actually thinking of like John Chancellor or Eric Sevareid, who, when I was growing up, there was a sense that everything important could be encapsulated in a half hour of very serious and sober reportage. And
Right.
inside that half hour, you add commercials, you're really talking about 26 minutes, 27 minutes. Inside that half hour was time for thought, for a piece, for not editorializing, but literally a perspective that didn't have to last longer than about 90 seconds. And that was an important what's an important vehicle for authenticity, for truth, for authority, for the things that are not left over to opinionizing, but are in fact sober, factual considerations. And Captain Kidd, in what he does in places, incredibly small towns, is report on things large and small, things that are important. Who has cholera today? How bad is the fever spreading? Is that new train spur going to actually be built or not? We didn't. That didn't end up in the. It didn't end up in the movie, but we talked about Queen Elizabeth. We talked about wars in Europe. We talked about elevators in Boston. We talked about the Cincinnati Reds professional baseball club. All of that goes together, go into a place that actually binds us as opposed to divides us. And I think that's a difference right now. I think it's very easy to use media in order to supplant your own very particular perspective at the cost of all the other rest. Captain Kidd was enlightening an audience. He was engaging them, he was educating, but more than anything else, he was enlightening an audience by saying, here's what you got to be careful of. Isn't the world quite amazing? And and here's this other thing. We're all in this together, folks. And that is, everybody chooses. I'm going to watch King TV versus one of the other channels. I'm going to watch MSNBC as opposed to one of the other channels. We all can now filter our own kind of like input in a way that I think Captain Kidd and the newsreaders of the day were against. Says, here's what we all need to know, as opposed to here's what you get to choose and pick.
Right. Really quick, I'm always dazzled by the small details in movies, like in this one, the newspapers that were wrapped in the oilcloth to be transported. Did you fall in love with any specific props in this film, and how does that help you bring your performance out?
Well, all of them, it ends up being really quite tactile. When we first started putting it together, I wanted to have a magnifying glass because even though he knew the stories, there were moments that he wanted to specifically get, and that newsprint is really, really tiny, and it really was. So I had a magnifying glass, and I brought out the watch. The watch to me was the most important thing because he had to keep an eye on what time it actually was. He didn't want to spend too much time in any individual story. He wanted to get as many stories in as was good for that audience. And he didn't want to go over that time where suddenly he was going to be boring them. At 10 cents, a read, I think, you don't want to go 100 minutes. That's too much, but you don't want to just be up there for 35. That's cheapening those people. So he had to make sure that they got 10 cents of story, 10 cents of transportation, 10 cents of a show, in order to feel as though they got their money's worth.
Well, I feel like I just got $1 million worth of opportunity getting to talk to you after all these
Speak the
years.
truth, Cam Holcomb. Speak the truth.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
My
Stay
pleasure.
well.
You too. Happy
Okay.
Christmas.
You too. Bye bye.